Welcome to my Harry Potter Christmas. I had so much fun turning my whole living room into the wizarding world of Harry Potter, and I'm so excited to share all the details. I started out decorating the tree with the Harry Potter theme and made all kinds of really fun DIY decorations that I cannot wait to share with you. And then things snowballed from there, and I did the mantle and the coffee table and a Dolores Umbridge mini tree and Honeydukes. So much content that I couldn't fit all in one video. So this video is all about the tree, and the rest of the videos are all linked in the playlist so you can find exactly what you're looking for. Let's go. Here are all our ornaments before we put them on our tree, all laid out, and they look amazing. And here they are on the tree, including our Santa flying around and our train going around the bottom. So let's get started. I have this idea that I'd like to incorporate all of the Horcruxes onto my tree. And I wasn't sure what to use for the giant snake. It's October right now, and Anthropology has, they call it a snake pillow for Halloween, and it was made out of velvet and very expensive, but inspired me. So this won't be the most realistic looking snake, but I think it'll be cute. So I got at my fabric store some brownish fabric. It's like a stretchy velvet and this green, and I'm gonna try and sew like a giant snake and sort of wrap him in the tree. And then for the other Horcruxes, a lot of them I felt like would be like too hard to DIY and they wouldn't look authentic. So I got looking on Temu, and one of the ones I found was this time turner. It looks great, and I think it's gonna look great on the tree, and it was really inexpensive. So this one's from Temu. They didn't have great options for some of the other Horcruxes, so I also ordered a few from Anglia Express. Again, I had never ordered from there. I was a little bit nervous. They just came today, but they look perfect. So this is the ring. And what else have we got? So I couldn't find an actual tiara for the Ravenclaw tiara, but they did have this necklace that is sort of very similar. I could maybe remove the chain and like put it onto a hairband so it was a little bit more tiara-ish. But maybe I don't have to be that literal. Maybe I can just hang this on the tree. We'll see. But it looks really, really good. And it was a few dollars, so the price was definitely right. And then also the other Horcrux that would be very hard to create yourself. Although there are tutorials online, and I was tempted. I think this is going to be a good version. This is the slithering locket. Let's see if it actually opens. I'm just like opening these up because they just arrived. I think it does open because it has hinges. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's the slithering locket. And again, for the price, oh, and I can see in the light, it's got the S. It's got the S, so I better make sure that I have it by a light bulb on my tree. But for the price of these guys, so these are the, oh look, I just pulled the chain off by mistake, but these are the Anglia Express ones. They had time turners too, but this is the Temu time turner. Not a Horcrux, but very cool, just as an ornament. The next Horcrux I worked on was Nagini, the snake. So I put the velvet pieces right sides together, used some chalk to outline it, and then I stitched it together. Google told me I needed to do a zigzag stitch because it's stretch velvet. I sewed it all together, and then I stuffed it. I sewed a ribbon tongue for the snake and then added a button eye. My next Horcrux was the Hufflepuff cup,
And again, I didn't really want to DIY this one. So I found this free file to use a 3D printer, and my brother-in-law printed it, and then I spray painted it gold, and it looks amazing. For Tom Riddle's diary, I used a black notebook and this photo frame that had the perfect corners that I bent around the notebook, and it turned out great. So here are all the finished Horcruxes on the tree, starting with the Ravenclaw diadem. Then we have the slithering locket. And then for Harry Potter himself, I chose to use some vintage glasses, then down to our homemade snake. And he wraps all the way around and through the tree, and you can see his tail there sort of at the bottom. Then we have Tom Riddle's diary and the Hufflepuff cup beside that, and then lastly the ring. And these Horcruxes are so cool. They look amazing, and I haven't seen a lot of other people do this.
This is the flying key kit that I got, and it comes with all these keys. And then kind of the reason I ordered it is because I thought these wings were so nice, because they have like the black detail, and so there's 2 little holes in the wings here, and you thread the use some like fishing line to tie them onto the top of the key.
Because they're so small, they looked great scattered all over the Christmas tree. You can't really do Harry Potter without doing the floating candles, so I ordered some online. You just attach some fishing line to the top, and then I tied them to the tree, and the most fun has to be turning them on with the magic wand. Last year, I was really fortunate and got to go to the Harry Potter experience in London, where you can see the actual sets, and it's all decorated for Christmas. And the celestial decorations were really inspiring to me. So I got some wood, stars, and moons, and I spray painted them gold along with a few other things. Then I added some glue, special glue for gold leaf, and gold leafed them. You just stick it on, and then you brush off the excess after. And these looked amazing. I wanted a distressed finish, which I got, and they look so great on the tree. I also wanted to include some portrait ornaments inspired by the Great Hall, so I got these frames and I spray painted them gold and did the gold leaf on top of them as well. And then I took some images and resized them in Canva to fit the frames and cut them out. And then I just hot glued the cardstock images right into the frames, and I used a little bit of black velvet ribbon on the back for hanging, and they look really beautiful on the tree. Another ornament set that I spray painted were these little dragons. They were little toy dragons. I spray painted them gold, and then I just made a little hole in the top of them and added a gold eye hook. Then I attached some fishing wire to hang them by, and the whole set just looks really pretty on the tree. This next ornament was really simple. I ordered these little brooms online. I think they're really a Halloween decoration. I didn't like the red thread that they come with, so I removed some of it and then covered up the rest with this black leather lacing, and then I tied some fishing line on to hang them on the tree, and they just turned out really cute, and they were very easy. Another really easy ornament set were these little plastic black cauldrons that I ordered online. Again, you can find them at Halloween, like for putting candy in. And I just used some wool to look like a potion. I started out with green, but it blended with the tree, so then I added the white, and they look great. My next ornament were these chocolate frog ones, and they were a real favorite of mine as well. So I started out with these toy frogs, and I gave them 2 or 3 coats of brown acrylic paint. You could also use spray paint if you wanted, but I had this on hand, so I used it. Then I added a coat of Mod Podge to make them shiny. Next, I wanted to make the chocolate frog box, but a flat version. So I printed it and then used my Cricut and some gold foil just to add a little sparkle to the top. You could also use like a paint pen for this effect. And then I used my Cricut again to cut out a wood backer piece. And I spray painted that back piece gold, especially the edges because they are what shows the most. Then I used a glue stick to attach the chocolate frog label to the board piece, and I really love how this turned out. I smoothed it out with this little roller, which actually worked really well just to get the edges all down. I finished it off with some gold string and a gold bow and a little jingle bell, which looked really cute. And then I just used some hot glue to attach our little chocolate frogs. And again, these are so adorable. Another real favorite were these book page ornaments. I was inspired by an Instagram account, the Linen Rabbit. She has amazing Harry Potter Christmas decor. And I basically copied her for these ornaments. So I started out with an old Harry Potter book from the thrift store, ripped out some pages, ripped them into strips, and then I used Mod Podge to overlap them on some old plastic gold ornaments. Just be sure to overlap the strips as you go so you don't get any gaps, and really cover them with the Mod Podge. After those dry, you can put the tops back on, and I ordered these lightning bolt charms, which I thought were the very perfect finishing touch for these, and just tied them onto the top. I also added a little black velvet bow and then added the tops back onto the ornaments. I also used my Cricut to cut out some little vinyl gold stars and added those sort of sporadically on the ornaments. You could also just use stickers if you didn't have a Cricut, but it's a really nice finishing touch for these. I made about 8 of these and I really love them on the tree. I also wanted to make some golden snitch ornaments, and for these I used Ferrero Rocher chocolates. When I was a kid, I remember we used to get some chocolate ornaments and hang them on the tree, and you were not allowed to eat them until after Christmas Day, and they were such a treat. So these kind of made me think of that, and that's why I wanted to do the chocolate version, but you can also do these with little ornaments. Just remove the packaging from the chocolates and then cut out the snitch wings. I have these as a free printable on the blog. And then just glue them right onto the chocolates. I used hot glue, just a little dab, and then also added a little fishing line glued to the top to hang them.
I want the tree to be beautiful, not just Harry Pottery. And I want it to have a bit of a vintage feel. And you know, velvet ribbon and bows has been so popular the last few years for trees. So I had this idea to get the house colors in kind of muted hues. So it's not like bright blue and the gold is a little bit more khaki, but I think it's going to work. And my plan is to tie pretty bows with these and hang them all over the tree to represent the house colors in kind of a subtle and beautiful way. So we'll see how that looks when I actually do it.
These look so great. I made bows with long tails, which kind of piggybacks on the bow trend that's so popular right now, but I love how it's kind of a subtle nod to the house colors, but still looks really, really beautiful. So along with the set of Horcruxes and then all these other ornaments that I made lots of to make sets because they were so beautiful, I wanted to also include a few one-off things because they were funny or cute. And one of those is this little Ministry of Magic inspired toilet. It's a dollhouse toilet that I ordered online, and I made this little printable which you can grab on the blog, and then I just attached it with tape added some black velvet ribbon to hang it, and it's pretty cute. Another cute one-off ornament was the flying car. I looked up the make and model, and this is not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. And then I found this image of Harry and Ron in the flying car and used Canva to resize it and crop it and print it the right size to fit in my car, and just used a little bit of tape so when you look at it you can see them. We used some fishing wire and hung it on the Christmas tree, and it's really cute. I also ordered a time turner, and it looks cute too. I also wanted to add some owls, so these ones look great. And then I also had some feathers that looked like they could be some owl feathers, so we tucked those in the tree as well. One more ornament I really wanted to include was a sock for Dobby. A lot of people like to top their trees with a sorting hat or a giant golden snitch or an owl, but I had this other really fun idea to make Santa flying on a broomstick. And it was inspired from a couple things. One was my visit to the London Harry Potter experience last year, where the Christmas trees in the Great Hall had toppers of witches flying around on brooms, and they were rotating around the tree, and I thought it was so cool. The other inspiration was from the movie Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where they're in this safe house for Christmas, and there is an enchanted Christmas ornament, which is a Santa flying on a broom, and he flies through the scene at Christmas. And I just thought it was so adorable. So I kind of married those two ideas together to come up with this idea for Santa on a broom rotating around the top of the Christmas tree. So once I had the idea, the next question was, how am I going to make this? So I ordered this Santa figurine. I thought he would work well because he could sit and his hands look like they could hold a broom, and I had to remove the things that he was holding first. And then I made a little broom for him with his stick and one of the other brooms I had, just gluing the straw onto the end and then positioning him on it and gluing his hands to the top. So the next challenge was getting Santa to spin, and I ordered a disco ball spinner, and I wanted to attach Santa with a wire. I decided to use a coat hanger because it was nice and stiff, and I was just trying to figure out exactly how to get it around Santa. Unfortunately, the first coat hanger we started with was a little bit too thick to fit into our disco ball spinner, and we spent a lot of time trying to file down the wire and get it thinner until...
Okay, well, I went to the closet and I found a slightly thinner coat hanger, and when I tested it, it fits. So
then we just had to rebend the new coat hanger, get Santa in there snugly, and then insert it into the disco ball spinner and figure out the length of the wire and the angle. But that part wasn't too hard, and I was really excited to try it out on the actual Christmas tree. So my husband was helping me with this whole process, and he used some zip ties to attach the disco ball spinner to the top of the Christmas tree.
The tree is down. Repeat, the tree is down.
Then the tree fell over, but we rallied, got the tree set back up, got the disco ball spinner attached, and then inserted our Santa. We had to shorten the wire a little bit, and there was a little trial and error to make sure he was clearing the branches, but he worked out so great.
It's so cool.
And then I wired on a few more gold stars to make it look like a star at the top. The train is so cute. It's just an inexpensive Christmas train, and I spray painted it gold to give it more of a Hogwarts Express vibe, and it looks really sweet under the Christmas tree. You might have also noticed all our presents are wrapped up in brown paper. They've been delivered by Owl Post. I wrapped things in brown paper, used our free printable Christmas stamps and mail stamps, and they look great, and then added a little ribbon. And then I also have this free printable sign for the birdcage that says "Owl out on delivery." And these were just some great finishing touches to our Harry Potter Christmas tree. I hope that you loved our Harry Potter Christmas tree as much as I loved doing it. I think it adds so much to the space, and I'm looking forward to making more and more DIY ornaments and adding them over the next few Christmases. But there's loads of ideas there, at least to get you started this year. I also want to remind you that you don't have to go as overboard as I did. Choose a couple of your favorites, buy some, and just get started making a magical family tradition for your family. There's a whole series of videos that cover the mantle and my DIY Mrs. Weasley inspired stockings. We've got the coffee table with our homemade Mrs. Weasley's fudge. We've got Dolores Umbridge's little mini pink tree with our DIY cat plates. And we've got our whole Honeydukes area with homemade chocolate frogs. And there's free printables to go along with all of that as well. The printables are at the website, lifeisaparty.ca. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and do the whole playlist to see all my crazy Harry Potter creations this Christmas. Thanks so much.